Hi, my name is Frank Brown, Jr. I'm a life coach out of Washington, D.C., and right now I'm on Jerry Royce Live.
Hello, and thank you for stopping by. I'm your host, Jerry Royce, and welcome to Positive Power 21 Network, where you get your positive on. This is a worldwide podcast for growth, wealth, and success. Thank you.
Positive Power 21.org, Internet Radio.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and welcome to Jerry Royce Live on Positive Power 21.org. I am the voice of Jerry Royce, and when it's all positive, it's all power. That's Positive Power 21. And today's sponsors are Queen Z Production is producing a play in Baltimore. It's Saturday, July 19th. It's called Taking It Back, and it's written by Zenobia Sampson. The ticket prices are $15. If you want to be closer to the stage for VIP, they're a little more. You can contact her at 614-214-6589 for tickets. Doors open at 4, and that's on 4801 Liberty Heights. I think it's at a senior citizen place, a community center on Liberty Heights in Baltimore, Maryland. All right, and it's supposed to be a pretty well-written play, so we definitely going to be there. So if you're there and you recognize me, come on up. We'd like to get an interview with you, all right, and see how you enjoyed that play. But I'm going to have to run out of there really quick because I found out that my son is going to be playing some kind of football with some members of the Baltimore Ravens out at Towson University at the sponsoring event. I think Ladarius Webb and Ed Reed's supposed to be out there, and a couple other NFL players working with some of the young boys, which is a great thing. Guys giving back. All right. Also, we have Pamela Samuel Young, the author of Anybody's Daughter, and Kinky Corley. That's right. It's a natural hair resource guide. She's an attorney, an author, and a natural hair enthusiast. Pamela shares her natural hair care practices, products, and online resources that took her from hair disaster to natural hair heaven. Purchase both books on her official website at PamelaSamuels-Young.com. And again, the first book is called Anybody's Daughter, and that's about a 13-year-old young lady named Brianna who is ensnared in the horrifying world of human sex trafficking. Her uncle Dre, a man with his own criminal past, he scores the dark corners of L.A. That's right. And he's determined to find her. He ultimately comes up with a daring plan that puts many lives in danger, including his own. But he will find Brianna. Well, he find Brianna before it's too late. So in order to find it out, you got to cop that book. And remember, it's at PamelaSamuel-Young.com, and she's the winner of the 2014 NAACP Image Award. And that was a great honor for an indie author. All right. But she is published under her own brand. Okay? So I didn't get that wrong. Also, have you received good advice that you were unable to follow? Has your doctor ever recommended a lifestyle change that you found to be unsustainable? Well, how? Have you ever wanted something in your life but found you couldn't achieve it alone? Well, contact PurpleRoseHolisticHealth.com. They personalize a program that will radically improve your health and happiness. Call Valerie Moore for a free initial consultation. That's right. So give her a buzz. And our number is on her website, and you can email her. She also does, I think, a bi-monthly newsletter. So you may want to subscribe to that, okay? And we want to thank all the authors that have been part of us in the last week or two. We want to say thank you to Hazel Cartwright of Emerald Eyes of the Sea and Single Therapy. We want to thank Slice from Baltimore. She has a book called Dream Killers, which will soon be released sometime this fall or winter. We had Larry Moon Jr. He's the author of Honey is Thicker Than Water. He had a fantastic testimonial, so please check out that story. And also C.G. Farmer. She's on book tour right now. Her children's book is going great. You can book her to come to your city. She's out there on Facebook under C.G. Farmer. That's C-E-G-I Farmer. That's right. She's the author of The Adventures of Delilah Daisy. Check it out, her big adventures. And also Cheryl Wood, and empowering Cheryl Wood. She has a book called The Power to Sizzle, self-help book. Samuel H. Morris, he has a sci-fi book out called Survive, so check it out. And Amelia Adeja, author of Accelerate Your Glory, another self-help book. And Lane Cobb, the biggest champion. She actually has a 5-week empowerment program coming up, so we'll get that information out for you soon. It's coming up in, I think, the first week of August. Okay? And also, thank you so much for Katira Young for being part of our show. She's the author and publisher of Purple Diamond Publishing Company, which is an imprint of True Glory, and she's author of the book The Contract Killers, and she has, I think, 3 of them out right now. And also thank you to Nakia Robinson. Her book is titled Love Will Never Do, and we really want to continue our special thanks to author and motivational speaker Bunny DeBarge of the super R&B group The DeBarge. She's releasing 2 books this fall. One is called The Kept One. She has Volume 1, which is coming out in the fall, and then Volume 2 will follow that in a couple of months up into the Christmas holiday. So, and don't forget about Fire Mouse. She has released her series called The Chronicles of David Hanger. So you looking to make things hot in the bedroom? Let me tell you, The Chronicles of David Hanger will get it going. All right. So thank you for hanging in there, everybody, and check out those authors. All of them have Facebook pages, and you can start any one of our shows, and it will bring up these commercials. And also, don't forget to follow us on Spreaker.com/PositivePower21. And we want to thank you guys for really supporting us. I think we should hit 7,000 plays. 7,000 people has come out to check out Positive Power 21, and I have to thank all those authors that I just named, because those shows are really doing well out there, and I appreciate you guys. It looks like we're going to be hitting about 1,000 plays a week. The rate we going. I appreciate that. And I think that the people talk very powerful stories. It's not just about the books. It's about the authors who wrote the books. They have exciting lives. They have stories that's worth telling, and I'm glad we were able to capture all that on Jerry Voice Live. All right, so let's start with our new guest. We have Frank Brown Jr. He's a graduate of life and relationship coach from the Institute for Professional Excellence Coaching. His love for transformational coaching and inspiring growth fuels his efforts to build motivation and healthy relationships across the nation. Frank truly believes that healthy relationships with others begin with a healthy relationship with yourself. He uses the message of self-love to show the power of clarity and purpose and how they can lead to a more prosperous and passion-filled life in every aspect. All right, Frank Brown Jr., welcome to Jerry Voice Live on Positive Power 21. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
Great, man. We're so glad to have you, man, and I understand you're authoring the book. We're going to talk about that at the top of the hour. And I like what I'm seeing on your website, man. You definitely look like a family man. I guess you do have to feel good about yourself, man, to have a pretty family like this. So let's talk a little bit about Frank Brown. So who is Frank Brown Jr.?
I'm just a regular old guy. You know, I'm a coach right now. I coach for a living. I deal with helping people to establish better and healthier relationships among themselves, family, friends, and even in business. And, you know, it's just been my passion, you know, to see people connect and see people make it past their any issues they might have, or any past issues they might have, or, you know, any trials they may have faced, to help them get over that and to reconnect with people again in their life. That's really a passion for me, and it joys my heart to see, you know, that happen. If I can help you do that, you know, I feel great.
Yeah. Now, Frank, you look like a really young guy, man. But I'm reading this quote or this statement you have on your website. It says, "I believe that no man, woman, or child on this earth was born void of purpose." So what does that mean?
Everybody has a purpose, and you really have to work, because it's not going to just be handed to you. You have to put in the work to find out what you were put here to do. And sometimes you got to explore. Sometimes you got to end up in some situations that you don't want to be in. Sometimes you got to try some situations and some jobs and some things, some volunteer opportunities that you thought may have been for you, and they may not be. And you got to let them be a lesson. You know, instead of letting them deter you from searching and continuing your search, you got to let them be a lesson, and you got to see what you liked about it and what you didn't, and you got to continue forward, because, you know, if you're not working in your purpose, or if you're not working in your passion, you'll never reach happiness. You know, you'll never reach completion, and, you know, you always feel like something is missing. So, you got to put in the effort.
That's right. And you said, why am I here? So is that a question that most people ask when they get to a certain age and they still trying to figure out, why they here, why they in this situation, why they live here, why they can't live in California, or New York, why here? What's up with that? Is that an important question?
It's definitely an important question. And you know what? Some people have not even reached that level. What's very dangerous and what I fear now is that, the first step is not even knowing the question. It's not even knowing to ask yourself, why am I here? The first step is just a deep aching feeling that you feel of incompleteness. And until someone comes and kind of sparks that idea of you have a purpose, you have a passion, you don't really know, exactly what questions to ask. But, a lot of people are at that stage where they can say, why am I here? What am I doing? And that's a very important question, because that question will lead to them asking more questions and being curious about themselves and getting to know themselves. I'm very big on knowledge of self. And so, getting to know yourself and asking those questions is a very important part of your life.
It is. And, and Frank, the craziest thing that I've discovered being on the show is that a lot of people have really ran a rough course in the beginning parts of of their life, the first chapter of their life. You're talking about people who experience incarceration, drugs, several recovery efforts, and then they didn't really climb out of that rut or that hole until they started writing and found out they had a talent to tell stories. What's the deal with that?
Sometimes you just, it takes a trigger. It takes something to, really knock you out of the pity and that victim stage. Sometimes it takes a real traumatic, situation. My own situation, my first chapter, it wasn't pretty. I never really questioned why I was here. I went on through life just, doing what I did. I went to school. I came home. I played. Whatever. Life was just as it goes. And I'm one of five. And the two oldest were two boys. I had two brothers. And that was my sister, and then me, and then my little sister. And I also had a grandmother I was really close to. And I lost my grandmother. And I remember that day because it was the first day of really feeling that feeling of losing something.
Right.
I never went to preschool. She took care of me from 1 to 5. She moved from New York to Maryland to take care of me. And, it was the first time I ever felt like I lost a best friend, And I got over it. I kind of climbed out of it. I accepted it, and, we kind of went on. And a year later on Thanksgiving morning, I lost my second oldest brother to cancer.
Wow.
So imagine that dinner, walking in and you just spent the whole morning in the hospital, and now you got to come and see family. It wasn't a very very exciting dinner,
Right.
But we did that, and we dealt with that, and we got over it. And then I lost my oldest brother 4 months later. And so just to see, it was a really rough time. I lost him in a fire, and just to think about the suffering that he went through, I really the thought of what they all went through, the thought of the pain of what they all went through, and just walking around and seeing my mother and the pain she was in, losing two boys, just watching her deal with it the way she dealt with it. There wasn't a lot of talking. We didn't talk much. We kind of coexisted one another. The whole family was just in a shamble, an emotional shamble. And I looked at who they were, because my grandmother was a person, a very stern person. You didn't walk on her,
Right.
But she protected me a lot. She was a protector. She was loyal to the people in the family. My brother was a singer, very charismatic, and everyone loved him. There was not a person that had bad thing to say about him. And so I kind of respected those aspects of them, and I kind of took them on. But I wasn't ready to yet, because I was still hurt. I was still emotionally, scarred, and losing people like that. I wondered why such good people.
Mm-hmm.
I questioned that, and that's where we get from just feeling like something's missing and going on with life to knowing the question, because the question wasn't formed at first as I'll say as positively as what is my purpose. The first question I asked is, why did you take them and leave me?
Yeah.
Like, why couldn't it have been me? To see my mother go through what she went through and lose the son that was the shining light to her, I would rather you have taken me and left the one that was doing all this good work.
Right.
So the question wasn't shifted, so it wasn't shaped so positively then. But as I began to ask that question, and as I began to look at my mother, and my mother used to look at me and say, you remind me a lot of your brother.
Mm-hmm.
You have your grandmother in you. And when she started to affirm that, and this is over a period of 2 or 3 or 4 years, I began to kind of pull out of that hole and kind of come into a place where I was trying to emulate and accept that I had that piece of them in me. I was trying to be like them. And so eventually I was faking it till I made it, And and my mother would say it again over and over, and over and over. I could feel this proudness from her. And one day she told me, and she looked at me and she said, "You know what?" She said, "God took 2 boys from me, but he left me one that can take care of all the needs that I have."
Yeah.
And I took that. There's a moment where sometimes you need someone else to help you to shift from that point. And I took that, and from that moment on, I wanted to be that better person, if for nothing else, for my mother, because she never gave up on me, And so I began to do the things I used to do. I began to volunteer, and I began to give to people and share my heart with others. And also, in that time I was very nonchalant and non-emotional, so I began to reconnect with family. I began to study how to reconnect with people. I became very, very fascinated with dating. I began to study how to reconnect in dating, how to create relationships, how to network. So a lot of this stuff grew out of that mother's love, And so, that shift over a period of years where I began to get to know myself and, study who I was and better myself and smile again. That period, it took a while, but, I did soon enough grow out of it. And when I realized where I came from, when I realized the transition, I immediately knew that I wanted to help other people have that same transition. Whether their issue was baggage in their past, whether their issue was, a broken family, abuse at home, I wanted to help other people get from that feeling like they're incomplete, feeling like they have no passion and purpose, feeling like they don't know what to do, to a powerful state of mind of, I know my talents and I know how I can help others. And so I became a coach.
Powerful. Yeah, man, that's a powerful story, man. And you think about the early chapter of your life, and if that didn't happen, unfortunately it did happen. You lost your grandma and your 2 brothers. What you think your life would have been today if they were still around?
I'd still be doing nothing. I would still
be doing nothing.
I would still be doing absolutely nothing.
So at that time, well, let me ask you this: during that time, you were doing nothing. Did you and your grandmother have talks like, what you think you want to do with your life? Of course, they bring up education, sport, military. Did she give you any choices to look at?
No, I was young. I was very young. I was 13. I was 12 when this all went down. So now you can see the span. I'm 25 now. You can see the span of time, where it was just black. I wasn't moving, and I was just stunned by that whole thing. But during the time that she was here, even more valuable than the question, she handed me the example. She showed me the way. My brother showed me the way, and so I was able to take that clear example and copy it and see what of myself could I put, or what of them did I have in myself, and how could I make it shine brighter.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
Good job. Good job. I've been meeting a lot of life coaches, especially when you go to business events, you have a lot of them set up with self-help books, all kinds of, knowledge to share. And I'm like, wow, it's so many of them. Why? But now I'm finding out it's a lot of people who are very damaged, or maybe not, I wouldn't say always damaged, but looking for help. And and a life coach, I'm wondering, how many clients can you take on at one time? You can't probably take on too many. You wouldn't be able to give the ones you have the proper attention. So I'm thinking, well, maybe it is just enough life coaches out there versus the people who are looking for them. Now, in your experience, how are you meeting your clients? How are they finding you?
Some, I do a little bit of marketing. I may, throw up an ad here or there about, hey, attack your goals now. But others, the message finds them, and they seek me out, and they say, I read your message. You're a life coach. I want to change this. I want to change that. Sometimes what I'll do, and this has happened quite often, is if I'm up at 3 a.m. for no reason, just staring at the ceiling, which because I come from an events background, so I used to work at night a lot. And sometimes I just can't sleep, and I'll be up at 3 a.m. I'm on the East Coast, so it's still 12 in California, so that gives me the whole gamut. And I'll just send a message out on Twitter or Facebook that says, who's up? And a lot of times people take that opportunity to send me, either thank you messages for the inspirational stuff that I write on Twitter and Facebook, or they'll say, I'm having this issue and I need help. I had a message come through, and someone said to me, he said, my mother has just been diagnosed with brain cancer. I don't know what to do, and I always read your message every day.
That's powerful.
And so we sat and we talked, and people like that, when you see the value, and they can see that you actually genuinely care for their agenda and what they want to do, they want to become a client.
Let's talk a little bit about your book, man. I know you didn't release it yet, but can you talk a little bit about what should we expect from it? I know you mentioned it's going to be a self-help book. It's untitled. On your website stage, you were planning to release it during the summer. So now you pushed it back a little bit. So I guess what you going through editing stages right now?
Yeah, I'm going through editing stages. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist when it comes to those things. So I wanted to just get rid of the whole thing. Let's just start over, and that wasn't going to happen. So, we're working on it. We're editing. We're doing stuff and changing some things around, and it's going to be released soon.
All right. Now, what should we expect from this? I mean, what should the reader expect from this book from Frank Brown? What are we looking for in this book? What would be the message you think? Self-help.
I'm really big on self-help. I'm really big on knowledge of self. I'm really big on self-love. If you follow me on Twitter or you look at me on Facebook, I talk about that in abundance. So the book is really focused on the rules of self. And one of the things that I struggled with, learning how to be me, after, the whole stage of not really interacting with people, was balancing the point of where's the point of balance where, I'm not selfish, but I'm taking care of myself. I'm not letting myself be walked on. I'm not doing too much for people, but I'm not being selfish,
Right.
And so there was a place I had to learn how much to give in a lot of areas of my life. There was a place where I had to learn how much time to spend, doing this and doing that. And so it really plays that line of, how much is too much.
Yeah. Now, are you married, Frank? Have children?
No children. Not married.
No, you're not married. Yeah. Okay. So okay. Well, let's talk about your book a little bit, because I thought I seen like babies and stuff on your website. So I thought maybe you were, you just had a child or something.
You know what? Someone else today just said, I said something like, I'm looking forward to seen a lot of old friends food, and she said, yeah, because your wedding is coming up, isn't it? And I'm just like, who keeps trying to marry me off? Like, this is how rumors get started. I am in a relationship. I'm in a serious relationship, but, no marriage as of yet, no.
All right, because when you look at your website, you got a little baby wrapped in a blanket, then you see a little baby in the swimming pool, then you see this girl, with a kid. So I'm not sure if that's you with your mom
all those babies are me.
Oh, that's you. Okay, because they look so current. Like everybody's baby is wrapped in a blanket like that. Even now.
those are all me. And the woman with the Coke bottle frames is my older sister.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
We used to tease her because the Coke bottle frames. She wanted the small glasses, and they wouldn't get them for her.
Well, actually, this picture she has on a red dress, and you have on a white tuxedo with a black bow tie.
Yep, that's my older sister.
Oh, okay. Good. All right. Now, you had some pictures out there. Showed you were sitting at a table. You had a mic in your hand. Looked like you was doing some empowerment talking. What was going on with that event?
Oh yeah, I do a lot of panels in DC. So that one, I want to say that one was on like Oh, you know what it was? It was on Scandal. You watched the show Scandal?
Yeah.
So it was revolving around Scandal, and we were kind of some of the subjects that came up were, Olivia Pope and her situation with the president, and how does Millie play into that and all that stuff. And it was a pretty intense panel, if I can say the least.
Oh, wow.
There were some very differing opinions, but it was fun. It was cool, and in DC, that happens a lot. So if you're ever looking to, have a debate about relationships, I would definitely look out for one of those.
Yeah, man, I know Scandals, man, because one of my friends that's in this leadership program with me, she actually used to have Scandal parties, and man, yep. I try not to go to. I mean, I really enjoy. I mean, I think I followed the first 2-3 seasons, and I kind of got away from it once I got involved with this business platform again. But the girls go crazy, man. The Facebook is, they blog it up, man. They're about Olivia Pope. They are.
If you don't even have to watch the show, you just look at your timeline and you'll know exactly what happened.
Yep,
exactly
you know what's going on. That's right, you going. But they kind of lost me because the guy that plays the president, man, I don't know, man. I just had enough of him, man. He's just slow, and that's his demeanor, because I've seen him in a lot of other movies, and it's just something about that guy playing that part of the president, man. They need to replace him. We need another president.
I like the Allstate guy better from 24.
Yeah, I know. Right.
I think they should get.
Yeah, because he was the president in that what movie was it? Show was it when he was the president? He was a really good president too, man. I like his characters playing it, because even that show when they were like those guys like Navy SEALs, always on those missions. I used to love that, man. All those characters were great, man. Those guys are doing great things. Yeah, I can't remember the name of it.
I think he should always play the president, and I think Morgan Freeman should always play God. Should be locked down.
For real, Morgan. That's right, because Morgan Freeman, I don't care what he plays, he's always the guy with all the knowledge and the inventions. I mean, even in Batman, from all those movies he played in when he was playing, I guess a agent or something, FBI.
Yep.
He's just a man. And I bet you in real life he probably don't know anything. But he's just the smartest guy in the movie. I mean, in the movie, he's always the smartest guy. That is funny, man. That is funny.
You got it online.
Right. That's right, man. I wish that was me, man. But look, man, we appreciate you coming out here, man. We want you to, make sure you get in contact with us when you drop that book, because everybody's looking for self-help right now. And again, like pretty much where we started out to read, they have to learn to build a relationship with themselves first, a healthy relationship, because that affects you. It affects your family, it affects you in your job, pretty much everything you do. And I thought it was very powerful, man, when you said, I believe that no man, woman, or child on this earth was void of purpose. They do have purpose, and a lot of people still trying to find out what it is. Sometimes it takes a little while, but you still got to keep living, right?
Definitely.
All right, man.
Definitely.
Before you go, man, we still got a minute left. Is there anything you'd like to say to the listening audience, man, to get them to follow you on your Facebook page and your Twitter? Tell them where you are.
Yeah.
What the website is.
Connect with me on Twitter. Twitter is probably the most live I have. Connect with me on Twitter, Frank M. Brown Jr., FRNK M. BROWN Jr., JR. And, we have debates and questions all day, man. You can get on there and, hit me up and talk to some other people and, just have a good conversation. The same thing is on Facebook. If you go to Facebook, facebook.com/Frank M. Brown Jr., you'll find my page. And if you want to email me, then you can email me at frankmbjr@gmail.com. And you can check out my website at frankbrownjr.com.
That's right. And the name of his company is called Capital Visions Group, right?
Capital Visions Group.
That's right. So he's available for booking events. You can get all that off of frankbrownjr.com and get a chance to find Frank doing things around the D.C. area, because a lot of people are coming to the Washington area. I think around September, October, because you have Baltimore has a big book event coming up, and I think Washington either follows them or maybe a week before. So the area is going to be busy. Yeah. So get a chance to meet Frank. All right, Frank. Appreciate you coming on the show, brother. And,
of course.
And sharing your life story with us, man. I know it's not easy when you lose loved ones, man. But the good thing is you keeping that memory alive, and in the work you're doing. So I'm sure people are being touched by your brothers and your grandmother. So I applaud you for that. All right, man. This is Jerry Voice Live, PositivePower21.org. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the replay. Take care. Have a good night. Thank you for tuning in to the Positive Power 21 Network. Team 21 would like to thank you all for tuning in, and please spread the word. Thanks a lot, man. Tell a friend. This is Jerry Voice at Positive Power 21, where we get our positive on. And let us know when you have some events coming up, man. We can publish that for you, okay?
Definitely. I'm going to get with you guys again. Probably try and do this again in maybe a couple months.
Yeah,
have
absolutely.
A lot of new stuff going on, so.
Yeah, definitely keep us in the loop, man. We can publish that for you right on the show, man. All right?
I appreciate it.
All right, brother.
Good stuff, man. I appreciate you having me.
All righty. We out. Bye-bye, everybody.